Once upon a time, there was a miller with 3 sons. When the miller died, he left the mill to his eldest son. To his middle son, he left his donkey. To his youngest, his cat. One day, the youngest said, "It's not fair. How can I make money with a cat?" When the cat suddenly said, "Get me a fine hat, cape and boots. I have a plan." The miller's son was so surprised to hear the cat talk, he purchased hat, cape and boots for the cat, who put them on and set off down the road. "Where are you going?" said the young man. "You'll see," said the cat. "What's your name, kitty?" "I call myself Puss in Boots." Well, Puss in Boots had a plan. First he caught a rabbit. Then he marched to the king's palace. "I demand to see the king," he said. Everyone was so surprised by a talking cat, particularly one in fine clothes and carrying a rabbit, they took him to the king. Puss bowed down and said, "Greetings, your majesty. My noble lord, the Marquis of Carabas, sends you this rabbit." "Please thank him," said the king. As Puss was leaving, the king's daughter, the princess, said, "Shall we drive along the river, father?" Puss ran back to his master. "Jump in the river," said Puss. "Pretend to be bathing." The young man did as he was told and was splashing about when the royal carriage approached. The cat shouted, "Help! The Marquis of Carabas is drowning! Help!" The king recognized the name, and as his men rescued the Marquis, Puss whispered, "Your Majesty, when my master was bathing, all his clothes were stolen." The king ordered a servant to fetch a fine suit. Now the miller's son was dressed in a royal outfit, and the princess asked him to ride in their carriage. The cat's plan wasn't finished. He ran ahead of the carriage until he came to a huge castle, which was owned by a rich and terrifying ogre. Puss walked up to the gates. "Take me to the ogre's chamber," he instructed the servants, and they were so surprised to meet a talking cat, they did as he asked. The cat bowed down before the ogre. "I had to meet you, ogre, having heard so much about you." "What do you want?" said the ogre. "I just don't believe the stories that you can change yourself into anything you want." "I shall prove it," said the ogre. "Then you shall die for doubting me." The ogre turned himself into a ferocious lion that roared, "Roar!" and waved a huge paw in the air. "Roar!" very scared, but he had a plan and he was sticking to it. "Amazing," said the cat, "but I bet it's impossible to change yourself into something small, like a mouse." The vain ogre immediately turned himself into a tiny field mouse. "Well done," said Puss. "Now I shall eat you." Puss caught the mouse and ate him in one bite. Puss put on his hat and told the servants that they were about to meet their new master. They were so surprised by the talking cat, they bowed. When the royal party arrived at the castle, Puss in Boots was there at the gates. "Welcome to the castle of the Marquis of Carabas," he said. The king was delighted that his new friend lived in such a magnificent castle. The miller's son looked questioningly at his cat, who winked and nodded. "My house is your house," said the young man with a bow. The king proposed that the Marquis marry his daughter, so the Marquis proposed to the princess, and she was already in love with him, so she readily agreed. And I'll tell you what, no one was more surprised at the wedding than the Marquis of Carabas' brothers. When they asked how he came to his fortune, he simply pointed to the cat. As for Puss in Boots, when the wedding was over and life took on a new normal, he thought he might be quite content to spend the rest of his days chasing mice around the palace and pretending that he was, in fact, a very ordinary cat.
Boys and girls of all ages, my name is Stephen Girko and I'm the principal clarinetist with the Austin Symphony, and this is the clarinet. The piece that I just played was the introduction to a very, very famous piano concerto written by George Gershwin, and that's the Rhapsody in Blue, and that clarinet cadenza is the thing that starts the entire concerto. I just wanted you to hear that because if you want to play clarinet, you're going to have to learn how to do that, and that's a lot of fun to do. I've been with the Austin Symphony now for 20 years, and I've been playing the clarinet for 65 years. And I was 11 when I started, so my question to you is, how old am I now? Anyway, I hope you enjoy this program, and it's a wonderful opportunity for me to play for you. And in this time where you're all sitting home and wondering what to do, read, read, read. And after you've done that, have something to eat and drink. And then after you've had that and you can't do nothing else, play the clarinet.